Okay, what makes you, you? I mean, it's one of the biggest, most fundamental questions we can ever ask ourselves, right? Well, today, we're going to dive into a really powerful framework for that very question, one that comes from the psychologist Gordon Allport. Think of it as a kind of roadmap for understanding the self.
So yeah, let's start right there. Just take a second and think about it. What is it that truly defines you? Is it your habits, your dreams, maybe your relationships? Gordon Allport dedicated his entire life to this question, and his answers, they're just as relevant and powerful today as they've ever been.
So, to really get a handle on his ideas, we've got to start where he did, with a clear blueprint. Our first stop on this journey is tackling that huge foundational question: what did Allport believe personality truly is? Okay, here it is. Now I know, this might look a little academic at first glance, a bit dense, but trust me, every single word in this definition from 1961 was chosen with incredible precision. This one sentence, it's literally the key that unlocks his entire theory. And what's really fascinating is that Allport actually updated his own definition over time. See, his first version, back in 1937, suggested that we just kind of adjust to our environment. But later on, he revised it to emphasize something much more profound, that we don't just react, we actively shape our world through our unique behaviors and thoughts. It's a subtle change, but it's a huge shift in thinking, from being a passive reactor to an active creator of our own lives. So to really see what he means, let's break down the 4 key phrases in that final powerful definition.
All right, first up, dynamic organization. What does that mean? Well, it means your personality isn't some fixed, static thing you're just born with and stuck with. No way. It's a patterned, integrated system, for sure, but it's also constantly evolving. You're both a product and a process, a structure that is always, always growing.
Next, we have psychophysical systems. That sounds complicated, but it's really Allport's way of saying that your personality isn't just floating around in your head. It's the absolutely crucial link between your mind, your psycho, and your body, your physical. They are totally interconnected, working together to make you who you are.
Then there's that word determine. This is such a powerful choice. What Allport is saying here is that your personality is an active force. It's something, and it does something. It's not just a mask you wear for the world. It's the person behind the mask, the real you that's actually causing you to act and think in certain ways. And finally, characteristic. I love this one. The original meaning of the word character was literally an engraving or a marking. And that just captures Allport's point perfectly, doesn't it? Each one of us has a completely unique signature, an individual stamp we put on everything we do and think. So when you put it all together, this dynamic, mind-body system that actively determines our unique stamp on the world, you get this incredible picture of personality, not as some fixed label, but as a living, breathing force.
Okay, so if our personality is this active, world-shaping force, then what's the engine driving it? What's really motivating you? This is where Allport really, and I mean really, broke from the dominant psychological theories of his time, especially from one very, very famous figure. See, Allport believed that for healthy, mature adults, what you see is pretty much what you get. We're generally aware of what we're doing and, importantly, why we're doing it. Now, this was a complete, radical departure from someone like Sigmund Freud, who argued that our behavior is basically controlled by these deep, hidden, unconscious impulses. In this huge disagreement, it's captured perfectly in this one famous story. So, the story goes, a young 22-year-old Allport goes to meet the legendary Freud in Vienna. And there's this awkward silence in the room, so to break the ice, Allport tells a story about a little boy he saw on a tram who was just obsessively clean. And instead of talking about the boy or the observation, Freud just leans in and asks him, "And was that little boy you?" Just like that. He immediately starts searching for some hidden, unconscious motive in Allport himself. Allport was just stunned. He was just telling a story he thought was interesting. That experience became a massive turning point for him. It led him to conclude that psychology, for all its incredible insights, sometimes just plunges too deep, His takeaway was simple, but it was absolutely revolutionary. We should start by taking people at their word. Let's trust their conscious, stated reasons first, before we go digging around for something hidden in the unconscious. All right, so if we're driven by these conscious motives, then what does it actually look like to be a psychologically healthy, mature person? This question brings us to what I think is the most practical and powerful part of Allport's entire work, his 6 criteria for what he called a mature personality. And here they are, these 6 criteria. Now, it's super important to note that Allport didn't see these as some kind of finish line you cross and then you're done. Not at all. He saw them as part of a continuous journey of growth. They're more like benchmarks or signposts. So let's dive in and explore what these key signposts on the path to maturity actually look like.
The very first one is extension of the sense of self. And this quote just captures it perfectly. It's all about moving beyond a purely self-centered existence. Think about it. Mature people get involved in things outside of themselves, their work, their family, their community, their passions. They're not just living in their own little bubble. They participate meaningfully in the world around them.
Okay, building on that outward focus, maturity also requires these 3 core pillars of inner strength. First, there's warm relating to others. And this goes way beyond just being nice. It's the capacity for real intimacy and compassion, the ability to love someone without being possessive. Next up is emotional security, and this one is huge. It's about truly accepting yourself, your strengths and your flaws, without getting defensive or needing constant approval from everyone. And finally, realistic perception. This is simple but so hard. It means you see people and problems for what they are, not what you wish they were. You're grounded, in reality.
Now this next one, it's fantastic. Insight and humor. Allport believed that these two were deeply, deeply connected. Maturity means having the insight to see yourself objectively, to see your own pretensions, your mistakes, but also having the humor to laugh at your own absurdities without getting all defensive about it. It really is about not taking yourself too seriously. And finally, the one that holds it all together, a unifying philosophy of life. This is your North Star. It's that core sense of purpose that guides you. And it can be anything. Spirituality, a personal mission, a deeply held set of values. Whatever it is, it's the framework that gives your life direction and ultimately meaning. So when we step back and look at all these pieces together, what's the bottom line? What are the big actionable ideas we can really take away from Gordon Allport's work?
Okay, let's distill it all down. First big takeaway. Your personality isn't just some static label. It's an active, evolving system that you use to co-create your reality. Second, your conscious motivations are incredibly powerful. What you say you want and why you want it, that genuinely matters. We should start by trusting that. And third, psychological maturity isn't some vague concept. It's a tangible goal we can all work towards. It's a journey of moving beyond a narrow self-focus and toward purpose, connection, and real self-awareness. So in the end, what Allport gives us isn't just another dusty old theory. It's an optimistic and, I think, a truly empowering roadmap for understanding ourselves and maybe even more importantly, for consciously directing our own growth. So we'll leave you with a final thought to take with you. As you think about these 6 keys to maturity, from connecting more deeply with others to really clarifying your purpose, which one of them really speaks to you? Which one feels most relevant in your life right now? What might be the very next step on your own unique journey to becoming you?